In this video, we're going to be doing multi-step word problems using addition and subtraction of measurements. So when we start looking at word problems, it's always good to take a look at what the question is asking. And it says, how much flour does she have left? So usually when we're talking about how much is left, we're talking about subtraction. Now we actually have three numbers if we look at the question, so we might be doing two parts. So the question says Lily has 5.25 pounds of flour. She used 2.4 pounds for bread and 1.3 pounds for cookies. Well, that's going to tell us that she's actually looking at adding these two numbers together and subtracting it by the original amounts. So adding these two numbers together, we're going to have 2.4 and then we're going to have 1.35. So when we set this up for addition, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the decimal points line up in the same spot. If there's any numbers that are missing, we can always add a 0 so that we have the same amount of decimals on the right side. Now adding together, we always start on the right side for this, so 0 plus 5 is going to be 5. 4 plus 3 will give us 7. And then we have 1 plus 2, and that's going to be 3. Since the decimal point is always going to be on this imaginary line, we'll add this back in. And then what we're told is that we had an original amount of 5.25. And the question is asking how much is left. So we're going to take that number, 5.25, and we're going to subtract it by the total amount that she has used, the original by what's been used. In subtraction, we always want to have that number 2 that's bigger on top. Subtracting this, we always start on the right side and move left. So 5 minus 5 is going to give us 0. 2 minus 7, unfortunately, we can't do. And the reason why is because that same process, that the top number has to be bigger than what's on the bottom. So for us to be able to subtract this, we're going to borrow from this 5. And when we borrow, we're actually going to take one number from 5. So 5 minus 1 would be 4. We take one value. And that 1 that we took, we're going to put it over to the column to the right, the one that we're trying to subtract. So now we can actually subtract this because the number at top is bigger. 12 minus 7 will give us an answer of 5. We'll have our decimal. We can add that in at any time we want. And then we're going to subtract 4 minus 3, which would be 1. So the answer is going to be 1.5 pounds of flour left over. Moving on to the next word problem, again, we take a look at what the question is asking. And it says, how much juice does she have left? So we know that word left is going to tell us that we're going to be subtracting. But again, it looks like we have some multiple numbers here. So reading this question, it says, Jasmine bought a 2.5 liter bottle of orange juice and a 1.7 liter bottle of apple juice for a party. Her guests drink 2.3 liters of juice in total, and we're seeing how much is going to be left. So we know we're going to add these two numbers together. We want to take what was originally seen, and then we're going to subtract it by what was actually drank. So those two numbers that we're going to add together are going to be 2.5 plus 1.75. Now again, we have a missing 0, so we're going to put that in right here. And whenever you add two numbers, it doesn't matter what order you add them in, as long as that you make sure that the decimal places stay in line and you start on the right side. So 0 plus 5 is going to give us a value of 5. 5 plus 7 will give us a value of 12, so we'll put a 2 right here. And then what we do with that 1 is we're going to carry it over to the next column. So now we'll have 1 plus 2, which will be 3, plus 1 will be 4. So now we know she had a total of 4.25 liters. Now this is the amount that was originally bought. So we had 4.25, and it looks like we had 3.2 that was actually used. So we're going to subtract those numbers, and again, we can put a 0 in any missing value that we have. We have to make sure that the decimal points line up, and then subtracting from right to left, we'll go 5 minus 0, which will be 5. 2 minus 2 will be 0, and then 4 minus 3 will be 1. So we'll have 1.05 liters left over. Moving on to the next word problem, we have the question, did he meet his goal? From this, we really don't know what the question is asking, so we're going to have to read this all the way through. Carlos ran 3.8 miles on Monday, 4.2 miles on Wednesday, and 2.5 miles on Friday. He set a goal to run 12 miles for the week. Did he meet his goal? So what we're going to do is we're going to add these three numbers from how much he ran, and then subtract it to figure out, did he run that total amount? adding these numbers, and we can add any one that we want together first. We're going to start with 3.8 and add the 4.2. Adding this, we're going to take from the right, 8 plus 2 is going to give us 10. So we'll put the 0 here, and we'll carry the 1 from the 10 over to the next column. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 4 is going to give us a total of 8. That decimal stays in the same spot, so we'll put that right here. And then it says he's going to run an extra 2.5 miles. So we'll add those two numbers together, starting on the right. 0 plus 5 is going to give us 5. And then 8 plus 2 is going to be 10.5. Now it says he ran a total of 12 miles, and we know that 12 is a bigger number than the 10.5. So we know he did not meet his goal, but if the question is asking for us to subtract, we better try it anyways. So now when we're adding this, we have a decimal, which is right here for this 12, and we can put that line here, and we can put a 0 in to the right of it. Subtracting this, we're going to have to borrow from this 2, so we'll have 1 and 1, and that's going to give us 5.1. So that means he was 1.5 miles short from making his goal. So no, he did not make his goal. Reading this question, it says, how many more gallons are needed to fill the pool completely? So how many more tends to mean subtraction. And if we read the question, it says the pool was filled with 200.5 gallons in the morning and 1.7.25 gallons in the afternoon, and it still wasn't full. And the pool holds 450 gallons. So we're going to add these two numbers up and then subtract it by this total of 450. So 200.5 plus 175.25. Adding those two numbers up, we're going to put a 0 here. And we always start on the right, so we'll have 5, 7, and then the decimal. We'll have 5, 7, and 3. Now we had a total of 450 gallons, and now we're going to need to subtract 375.75. Now again, we're going to put a decimal here, and we can add two zeros to make it easy for us. So we can't subtract 0 minus 5, so we're going to have to borrow from this 5 here, so we'll put a 4 on top. We'll have 10, but we're going to need to move this 10 over, so we'll borrow again, and then we'll have to borrow again. So we have 10 minus 5, which is going to give us 5. 9 minus 7 is going to be 2. 9 minus 5 is going to be 4. And we have 4 minus 7. Well, we can't do that because 4 is smaller than 7. So we're going to have to borrow from this 4 on the left, so we'll have 3 on top, and then we'll put a 1 over. 14 minus 7 will be 7. And then 3 minus 3 will be 0. So we need a total of 74.25 gallons to fill the pool completely. For the next word problem, it's asking how much food does he have left after 1 week? And we know that left is going to mean subtraction. But it looks like we have 3 numbers, and it says Sam buys 2 bags of dog food, and each bag weighs 2.85 kilograms. He used 4.2 kilograms for food. So when we see that each bag weighs this much, and we know that we have 2 bags, we're going to be adding 2.85 plus 2.85. And that will tell us the total amount that he has bought. Adding these two numbers, we have 5 plus 5 will be 0 and a 1 carried over to the top. We have 1 plus 8, which will be 9. 9 plus 8 will give us 17, so we'll put the 7 here and then the 1 on top. We'll carry down that decimal, and then we have 1 plus 2, which is 3, plus 2 will give us 5. So he's bought a total of 5.70 kilograms of dog food. And he's used a total of 4.2. So that means we're going to be subtracting with 4.2 on the bottom. We can put a 0 here if we want. This is still going to be 0. And then moving on to the next column, we have a 7 minus 2, which is going to give us 5. And then 5 minus 1 is going to give us 1. So he has a total of 1.5 kilograms of dog food left. Looking at the next problem, it says how much better does she have left? So again, left is going to mean subtraction. But again, we have 3 numbers, so we need to figure out what we're going to be doing. Layla has 1.75 pounds of butter. She used 0.5 pounds to bake cookies and 0.6 pounds to bake a cake. So how much does she have left? Well, we'll take a look at how much she's used first. We'll add those together, and then we'll subtract it minus the original amount that we had. So we have 0.5 plus 0.6 Because we have these decimals here, we can put a 0 in front of that decimal if we want. So we're going to add these two numbers together. So we have 0.5 plus 0.6. Now we could put a 0 in front if we want to make it a little bit easier to see. We'll put that decimal line here again, and we'll start by adding on the right. 5 plus 6 is going to be 11, so that's going to be a 1 here, and we'll carry the 1 over to the next column. 1 plus 0 is going to be 1, so it looks like she's used a total of 1.1 pounds of butter. We'll take the original amount that she has, so 1.75, and we'll subtract it by how much she's used. We can add a 0 here to make it a little bit easier. We'll carry down the decimal point, so we'll have our decimal point there. We have 5 minus 0, which is going to be 5. Then we'll have 7 minus 1, which is going to be 6. And then we have 1 minus 1, which will be 0. So it looks like she'll have left over 0.65 pounds of butter. Looking at this next problem, it's asking how much more liquid can he add before the pitcher is full. So it looks like we got this word add, and we're actually looking for how much more. So it looks like we're going to be doing both addition and subtraction for this problem. Reading the question, it says a pitcher holds 2.5 liters of liquid. Mason poured in 1.2 liters of orange juice and 0.85 liters of pineapple juice. And then we want to know how much more is needed before it's full. So it looks like we're going to look at what's pouring first, which are these two numbers at the bottom. And we'll add those two numbers together, so we have 1.2 plus 0.85. Now we can add zeros to what's missing to fill in the gaps. We'll start by adding on the right side, so 0 plus 5 is going to be 5. 2 plus 8 will be 10, so we'll put the 0 here and we'll carry the 1 over. Our decimal will go here. We have 1 plus 1, which will be 2. Now it says that there's a total of 2.5 liters in that original pitcher, so we're going to subtract by how much we've already filled it by. We'll add the 0 in. Subtracting this, we'll have 0 minus 5, which we can't do, so we're going to borrow from this 5, so that'll be 4. And then we have 10. 10 minus 5 will be 5. 4 minus 0 will be 4. 2 minus 2 will be 0. And we'll add that decimal point in. So it looks like he needs to add 0.45 liters of liquid to fill it up. Looking at this word problem, it's asking how much does she need to fill 4 water bottles? And the question says that she uses 12.6 liters of water to fill 1 bottle. So if we have 4 of those, that means we're going to need to add 12.6 4 times. So we're going to start by looking at 2 values. Starting on the right, we're going to add 6 and 6, and that's going to be 12. So we'll put the 2 here. We're going to carry the 1 over. Now we're going to add 1 plus 2, which is 3. Plus 2 is going to be 5. Then we'll add 1 plus 1, which will be equal to 2. Now this is going to be for 2 water bottles here. Now we need to add another 2 water bottles, and that's going to be 12.6 plus 12.6. If we add that, that's going to be the same answer that we got over here. So that's going to be 25.2. So since this is going to be the combination of all 4 water bottles, we can add these two numbers together. So 25.2 plus 25.2. Adding those together, we're going to get 4. 5 plus 5 is 10, so we'll put the 0 here and carry the 1. And then we're going to get 4 and 1, so that's going to be 5. So it's going to be a total of 50.4 liters of water.